Hey, welcome to the continuing winemaker series here at, actually we're not at the Wine of the Month, but we're at the Gambero Rosso Trebbichieri show, and I'm here with Diva, Moretti, Polegato.
Yes,
something
you
like
got it
that.
right.
Something close to that. And she is a prolific maker of Prosecco and other still wines. I'm so happy to have her here today. So it's just, I find it fascinating, particularly with Italian families, that you enter into the family as the winery, and you mentioned that this is the third year you've been with them?
Yes.
Yes. And so, and we talked about this a little bit, but did you always think you were going to be in the wine business?
No, at the beginning I thought I was going to do medicine actually.
Really?
Yes, because I always liked it.
Wow.
And then I changed into politics.
Yeah.
So I studied politics, and then I thought I could apply politics into this business. With all the traveling and...
And that didn't work out, or what happened?
I had to integrate with the
Yes.
sommelier course.
Yes, so you said that you went to the sommelier course, and this is the Court of Sommeliers, the official thing.
Yes.
And you studied for 3 years.
For 3 years.
So tell me about that a little bit. You know, I think the consumer, American consumer, for sure, they think that once you have a Somm degree, level 1 or 2 or whatever it is, that all of a sudden you're an expert in everything. And it's not necessarily the case, right?
So you have to have the theory, obviously, but you need to apply the practice.
The practice.
So to be a good sommelier, you need to have a lot of practice, a lot of wine tasted, go to as many wine tasting as you can, visit as many wineries as you can. So that makes you an expert, I think.
Yes.
Because once you do the course, okay, you go through a few wines, you taste a lot of them, but then if you don't kind of follow up,
you have to do it. So when I was speaking to a gentleman named Emmanuel Kimiji, I told you about him, he was fascinated because I'm Armenian, my heritage is Armenian, and he says, for the first time, and this guy tastes wine for a living, right? And as I do, 30 years I've been tasting wine. He says, now I have to learn about Armenian wines. And I know a lot about Armenian wines. They're very indigenous grapes. It's a very slow growing industry, but they now have good technology. But he's like, this is fascinating because I get to learn something new. I think the sommelier has to stay in sync with what's going on in the marketplace, you know?
With the new world wines.
New world wines. And one of the fallacies I think that the consumer has is that if any somm can take the glass and say, this is Cabernet from Chile, 2016, which is not that easy to do, as we all know, but that's what you try to do, right? So tell me about the course. Was it an intensive study?
So it was once a week after uni, so about 5 hours, and we got through we had Alva session was a theory, a lesson with a lecture that could have been a master sommelier, master of wine.
Master of wine,
Yes, Italian, French, Portuguese, it depends. Every lesson was taught by someone different. And then you had the tasting and wine pairing session after that.
So there's 2 master of wines in Los Angeles. They're friends of mine that we do the same thing with them. One of them sells wine wholesale. So have you taken now this is a question. Your father's been in this business. He's old school, speaks Italian, this is what he does, and in comes his daughter who studied wine, who does a theory. Do you guys ever do you guys agree on things, or do you explain things to your father, right?
So I believe with the fact that I live in London, we don't have that much time to fight. So.
That's good, that makes it better.
Yes, and then we are kind of similar. Our mentality is similar, rather than my mom is more similar to my brother.
Is your brother
so they're more
working
creative?
there?
No, he's still studying. Yes.
So did your brother want to do something other than wine when he started, like you did, or did he?
No, he's always been focused.
I didn't either. I bought this in 1988, but prior to that, I was doing all kinds of things. But I have acquired the passion for what it is, and in America, there's so much bad wine, much bad wine. People are bringing wines in America right now that are €1. €1. What are you going to buy for €1? Right? It costs more for the glass than €1, right?
Yes.
So that's my business. That's the people I fight against. So tell me about the winery now. You got 5 million bottles.
Yes, 5 million bottles a year.
Yep.
And the majority is Prosecco, which is a big category because we have from the entry-level Prosecco all the way to the Cartizze, which is this bottle we have here today, and it's the most awarded Prosecco in the market. And today we are the Gambero Rosso. We have the Tre Bicchieri Gambero Rosso for 9 years.
Really?
Year.
With this
yes,
one?
With this wine.
Oh, it was gorgeous wine.
And we decided to make it in a different shape of bottle.
Is that a traditional bottle or just a different bottle?
It's a different bottle because we decided that Cartizze is something special, not like just a Prosecco. It's a wine you can have with your dinner. Every country is different. Like, for example, I live in London, so the UK for us is the first market, and British people drink Prosecco in every occasion.
All the
so
time,
literally
yes.
you have brunches based on Prosecco on Sundays, and you'll have Prosecco drink as an aperitif instead of the beer at the pub.
Right.
You'll have Prosecco to dine with. So it's a
So regular, part of the consumption. I don't think Americans do that so much. Have you finding that?
I think in America it's more perceived as a wine for an aperitif
Yes.
or for celebration.
For celebration.
Yes.
And the interviews I've had with famous champagne makers has been, no, we want this to be part of, and I agree with that. I think sparkling wine has a position in your regular consumption, along with the reds and the whites, whatever you're doing.
Yes,
I think it's an important thing.
We do wine dinners based on Prosecco because we have a big variety of Prosecco, and from a brut to an extra dry to a dry, so you can pair it with your meal because the residual sugar is not that high.
So is the sugar content based on the fermentation or based on
Yes.
grape sugar, right?
Yes.
And Charmat, so it's all done in a big steel tank, and then
Big steel tank,
right.
exactly. And we have a unique method of production for our Charmat method. So for 100% of our sparkling wine, Charmat method, what we do is when we pick the grapes, we press them, we have the juice. We keep this juice in steel tanks, refrigerated at 0 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
So the wine doesn't ferment. And then when we receive the order from our importer, distributor across the world, we higher the temperature, so the two fermentation starts, the sparkling fermentation and the alcoholic fermentation. At that point, we leave the wine to settle for a little bit, and then we bottle and send the wine. So the wine is always fresh.
One of these was vintage, no?
This
Yes,
is, yes.
So
this is
2017.
vintage, 2017.
Current vintage. And
Yes.
when did that go into the bottle?
When did that?
It go into the bottle.
Oh, you can see it in
There's
the
date-
lot
Ah,
number.
there it is, okay, yeah.
L8 means 2018, 166 day of the year. So
About halfway through.
about halfway through.
Now I know the code. I can,
Yes.
I can look it up. So,
Yeah.
so have you found the consumption, the American consumption, from the East Coast to the West Coast different? Because West Coast, I grew up here, but we're not. The availability of Prosecco, the availability of French wine, the availability of Italian wine in the East Coast is much more. My daughter lives in New York. She's a baker there, and so she's always showing me fun wines that I don't see here. So, do you have better sales in New York than in Los Angeles?
No, actually, one of our biggest market is California.
Is it really? Wow, that's
alongside
interesting.
with Illinois and Texas
Illinois, of course,
and New
yes.
York as well.
Well, those are the top states in America
Yes.
for that, right? So what's the next step for the winery? Are you going to continue to make 5 million bottles? Or are you going to try different things? One question. The grape in this,
It's Glera.
is it always Glera?
Glera, yes. To make a Prosecco, you need 85% of Glera and 15% of native grapes, but we use 100%
100%?
of Glera.
And all the different bottlings?
Yes.
Like the other ones we saw?
Yeah,
Those
they're
are
all 100% Glera.
Ah, okay,
100%
interesting. So I always ask that question because I never know what the grapes are. This has been fascinating to have you here. I appreciate the time to come and talk to us about the wines. That was the first wine we tasted when we walked in here. Was this, and I
You started
fell in
in
love
the
with
right
it.
way.
Yeah, I fell in love with it. And it's just been a pleasure to meet you, Diva. And I hope, I suppose, and I ask everybody this question. Everybody I ask this question: Is there guest quarters at the winery? A place for friends to stay?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
We have a locanda, which is, we don't really have a translation in English for locanda. It will be maybe like a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
in the middle of Valdobbiadene, so where we produce this wine.
That's great.
And we have 9 rooms there, and then on another part of this bed and breakfast, we have other 5 rooms. So we can accommodate guests, and we have an excellent restaurant with regional cuisine, typical from that.
How far from Venice?
About an hour drive.
And then Verona?
About another hour.
Yeah, right.
So we are in the middle.
Yeah.
You should land in Venice, come to the Prosecco, and then maybe proceed to Verona for some good Amarone.
Okay, so now that's my travel. That's my plan.
Yes.
Pleasure meeting you.
Nice
Thank you so much for
meeting
coming
you.
to see us, and good luck out there today. You're going home after this?
No,
There's
I'm
no
going
more.
to Hawaii for
Oh, well,
for
that's not bad.
to sell some bubbles.
Very good. Cheers. Thank you. Good to see you guys.